Good morning, everyone. Since this is the e-learning week, our presentation will be online. It's presentation for 5502, Public Administration and Theory and Practice. And we will be going through two articles, that is one on collaborative governance and one on network design. So I'll be going through with the collaborative governance, and my colleague Kim will be going through with the critiques for the collaborative governance, and then my colleague Jean-Philippe will be going through with the network design. So to move on with the first article, I would like to talk about the evolutionary continuum, interacting with citizens. The evolutionary continuum represents the role of citizens, government and public administrative authorities and their reciprocal interactions as it advances with years. Along this line, citizens may be seen as subjects, voters, clients, or customers, partners, or owners. Moving along the continuum, we also observe that government and public administrators as rulers, trustees, managers, partners, or subjects. Stemming from these are the 5 types of interactions between the government and public administration and citizens. These profiles circle through cohesiveness, delegation, responsiveness, collaboration, and back to cohesiveness. But this time, it is of a different type, namely citizenry cohesiveness. The profiles overlap, indicating the progress and development of interactions, and are frequently characterized by coexistence of profiles and a gradual decline of the former before the latter. In order to explain responsiveness, responsiveness denotes the speed and accuracy with which a service provider responds to a request. The speed is easy to measure, but accuracy is complicated to measure. To measure accuracy, one needs to look at whether the provider's response meets the needs of the service users. Measures include citizen satisfaction, service provider attitudes and perception, outcomes with KPIs, distribution of goods against ethical benchmarks such as equity. The classical view is to consider responsiveness as unidirectional from provider to clients. Furthermore, to explain collaboration, it refers to participation and cooperation between citizens and governments, resulting in agreements and mutual understanding, resulting in a more equitable distribution of power and resources. In evaluating the collaboration, one should consider cooperation with third-party and private sectors, involvement in grassroots movements. The classical view is to consider collaboration as a more active, bidirectional of participation, that is between 2 or more parties. Is collaboration good or bad? Concepts of collaboration is an indispensable part of democracy and hence enhances administrative effectiveness, which is equity, and can reduce citizen cynicism. Collaboration seems to contradict the idea of bureaucracies as described by Max Weber, example the clear hierarchies, concentration of power at the top. Large involvement by third-party lobby groups and NGOs can interfere with the government work, example direct democracy initiatives in California. Responsiveness versus collaboration. At first view, these two concepts seem to be in opposition. Citizens as clients are more market-oriented and are inspired by the new public management ideology. However, they do not necessarily exclude each other. Responsiveness simply means that public servants are more sensitive to the needs of the citizens. The actions of more responsive governments will be more aligned with the mission given to them by citizens. And there is no incompatibility between receiving a service such as a client and being partners in the decision-making process, example student feedback. And my colleague Kim will explain to you the role of media and academia from here.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the role of the media and academia in the area of responsiveness and collaboration. And that must be the way by which responsiveness can work in service collaboration. And there are two important players in the process. The first is academia and the second is the media. Okay, the academia usually creates the useful framework and practical means of cooperation. That means it usually points out theoretical consideration and conceptual groundings. On the other hand, media, especially in the free democracy, it bears the responsibility to promote the accountability to the citizens just by encouraging the transparency of governmental institutions. Okay, let's critique from the responsiveness to the collaboration. Collaboration and responsiveness does not necessarily mean democracy. In fact, collaboration is hard to achieve even in so-called democratic regimes and representative democracies. So yet it's more difficult to implement in the countries like Myanmar, where the type of interaction between the government and the citizen is more cohesive. That means the role of government is more like the rulers and the managers. Of course, we have potential to increase the role of citizens as customers or clients, but we have some limitations, and the capacity comes as major obstacles. We have to think about capacity in terms of human resources, capacity in terms of material resources, managerial resources, technical resources, etc. So that means we have to be very careful in the application of the theory to the real life, and we have to consider particular context of the country and like a case-by-case basis.
Our second portion is going to review the concept of network and the concept of governing by networks. When we talk about network, we talk about a web of agencies, suppliers, and partners that are involved in the delivery of goods and services. For any given network, these partners can be private, public, or both. And you can have for-profit organizations and non-profit organizations, or both, again, in any given network. And examples of network we've studied in class is the Coventry Safety Partnership case study, where a group of public agencies got together at the local level to reduce the crime rate. The case of public transportation in Singapore is also an example of network, where the state was involved in creating the public transportation system, and it's still involved in some areas of it, yet the day-to-day operations are run by private companies with some state oversight. Another characteristics of network is that they are not static and can and will change over time. When you design a network to provide public service or goods, there are six main considerations to look at. The first is the mission or the goal that you're trying to accomplish. And in order to really well state the goal, you need to really think hard about what is the important public value that you're trying to preserve. For example, if you're looking at building a school, is it really a school that you're trying to build, or are you trying to provide education to a certain area of a city or a country? If you restate your goal as providing education, you might have other alternatives that you might want to consider. For example, you might not build a school. You might rent space. You might contract out to a company that offers a specialized education service, and through these alternative means, you might actually get a better outcome of providing education. So it's important. I refer to thinking hard, but really to re-question what you're doing and not define the mission or the goal just in a way that mirrors what you've done in the past. You might just have other alternatives when designing a network.